And I'll call on Deputy Seán Sherlock, number 4.
I just merely wish to raise an issue that was articulated by the journalist Paul Williams on March the 6th, where he states in his article, and I quote, "The Gardaí have uncovered evidence of a major scam in which 180 non-EU nationals obtained taxi licences using fraudulent PSV applications despite having no legal status in this country." End of quote. And he also states that the Garda National Immigration Bureau searched several residential addresses across Dublin where it is suspected false documentation, including SPSV applications, are being produced as part of a massive immigration fraud. Just wanted to get the Minister's perspective on this and to ask the Minister if he is satisfied that measures are being taken to adequately deal with issues of this nature.
Advice Cahirlic by the Irish Naturalisation and Immigration Service of my department that on the 5th of March this year, the Garda National Immigration Bureau conducted a series of searches of 10 residential properties in the Lucan and North Inner City areas as part of an ongoing investigation into immigration fraud related to taxi licensing. Officials from the Carriage Office, the National Transport Authority, Inish, and the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection are also involved in this ongoing investigation, and they participated in the multi-agency Day of Action. This was the latest phase of an investigation named Operation Vantage, in which GNIB has to date uncovered a total of 134 cases where the PSV licence holder or the PSV applicant is the subject of an ongoing investigation and the immigration status of the individual is of some concern. Of those 134 cases, a total of 64 investigations have been finalised by the GNIB and forwarded to Innis for consideration of revocation of their immigration permission. Of these, 55 have been examined by Innis, and to date 25 deportation proceedings have commenced from these cases. A number of arrests have taken place. A number of persons have been or are in the process of being deported. As a result of the searches conducted on the 5th of March, I'm advised that a further 15 people have been identified for investigation where marriages of convenience and fraud are suspected. Indeed, 7 people were found to be in the state without any immigration permissions and are now the subject to immigration controls. The immigration status of these persons are being reviewed by Innis. In addition, I'm advised that a number of PSV licences are now being considered for revocation, while following last week's operation, a number of taxi plates and vehicle permissions have been seized. Finally, I might add that Transport for Ireland operate a mobile phone app devised by the National Transport Authority to enable the public to check that a vehicle or person is registered and to report any irregularities as an assurance to the user of the taxi services. I would encourage people to use that app, which is free of charge.
Thank you, Minister. Seán Sherlock.
Minister for his reply, and to be fair, the Minister has outlined to us that there are 64 cases in which revocation is a possibility or the most likely outcome, and that there are 35 pending deportations. I want to ask the Minister further if, given that the case is geographically aligned to the Dublin metropolitan area, if there is a concern now that such potential fraud, both on the immigration side and in relation to the false licences being used, that this could be more widespread, and if there is any intelligence at this juncture to suggest that it could also be taking place in other parts of the country?
Well, it's an ongoing investigation. As I mentioned earlier, 134 cases have been identified to date, and of these 64 investigations have been finalised and forwarded to Innis for consideration. In some cases, the licences have been revoked. In others, immigration permission has been revoked. I don't have information for Deputy Sherlock at present as to the extent of the investigation and whether it is just peculiar or particular to the capital city. I am, however, mindful that these matters are still under Garda investigation. I'm not going to speculate further, but I would be happy to inquire if there are grounds for ensuring that the investigation might be on a more broader footing than currently appears to be the case.
Minister's response. Do I absolutely understand, and forgive me if I'm misinterpreting the Minister, but that's the 64 cases that have gone to Innis, that they are recommending a deportation? That's the first question. And secondly, then, just to make the point that, you know, people who come to this country must be law-abiding. There are people who work within the taxi system, taxi drivers, day in, day out, who are plying their trade, who go, you know, obey the rules. And, you know, I welcome the success so far of Operation Vantage, because I think it's a good job of work in respect of the work that the Gardaí have done. But I do think that if the Minister can provide us with some sort of an insight, if such insights exist, as to whether or not this is more widespread, I think that would be very helpful and useful.
I think it's reasonable to assume that the investigations will continue, and if there is a requirement on the part of the Gardaí to further extend or develop it, that undoubtedly will be the case. Of the 64 cases, 55 have been examined by Innis, and to date 25 deportation proceedings have commenced from these cases. Having regard to the number of cases identified to date, it can reasonably be expected that there will be further developments and possible initiation of further deportation proceedings. But again, as matters are still under Garda investigation, it would be premature and indeed unwise of me to speculate. But I can say that with regard to the deportation process itself, all persons subject to deportation are entitled to due process under Irish law, including, if they deem it appropriate, recourse to the courts. However, I am keen to ensure that where investigations are underway, that they will take their course, and that any fraud or any illegal activity will be dealt with in accordance with the criminal law.